You see, I was a child of the wilderness, raised amidst Amish settlements and vast expanses of untamed woods. The monotony of the countryside was broken only by our makeshift fort of pallets, hidden deep within the woods, where we'd sneak glances at risque magazines or engage in adrenaline-pumping pellet gun wars, dressed in layers of winter clothes despite the sweltering summer heat. In the vicinity, there was a small, almost forgotten railroad yard, a remnant of a bygone era when it served a bustling granary. The granary had long shut down, but the yard occasionally sprang back to life, serving as a transit point for heavy machinery for work on the Susquehanna River. One day, we found ourselves in this yard, drawn by the sight of a lonely locomotive with 3 boxcars parked unattended. It was an opportunity too enticing to resist. Climbing aboard the locomotive, we found the keys casually left on the driver's seat. It was almost as if they were inviting us to embark on an adventure. Our hearts pounded with excitement and a dash of fear as we fumbled with the buttons and levers, trying to decipher the workings of the locomotive. After what seemed like an eternity, but was no more than 10 minutes, we managed to bring the sleeping giant to life. The train lurched forward, carrying us half a mile down the tracks before our nerve gave way. We managed to stop the locomotive and made a hasty exit. The incident never made it to the local news, and no one ever talked about it. Perhaps the engineer chose to remain silent rather than admit his carelessness. So, there you have it. A tale of childhood curiosity, adventurous spirit, and a locomotive. A story that reminds us of the daring and audacity that often accompanies the innocence of youth. It's a testament to the adventures that lie in wait when we dare to step beyond the ordinary and embrace the extraordinary.
What's your true life story that nobody will believe? Think about that for a moment. We all have our own unique narratives, some more extraordinary than others. Now, let me share with you a tale that might seem too surreal to be true. I am the offspring of an unlikely union, the child of a murderer and a minister. Yes, you heard that right. My father, a man of strength and resilience, was married twice before he met my mother. His second marriage, as I found out later, ended in a whirlwind of chaos and bloodshed. As a man constantly on the road for work, he would often return home to his wife after weeks, sometimes months of absence. However, one fateful night, his homecoming was marred by the sight of his wife in bed with another man. The shock and betrayal were too much to bear. In a fit of rage and despair, he grabbed his gun. Moments later, the man who had invaded his home and his life lay dead on the floor while his wife lay wounded. The aftermath was swift. My father turned himself in, accepting the consequences of his actions without protest. His sentence? 10 years in a maximum security prison. Time trudged on within the cold, unforgiving walls of the prison. But as my father's 4th year behind bars neared its end, a ray of hope broke through the gloom. That ray of hope was my mother, the prison minister. My mother, a woman of faith and kindness, found herself drawn to this broken man, a man who had been driven to commit an unthinkable act in a moment of intense passion, and he, in turn, found solace and redemption in her understanding and compassion. Scene script. I am the product of this unlikely union, the result of a conjugal visit that bloomed into a love story that defies all odds. So there you have it, my unbelievable true life story. I am the child of a murderer and a minister, a living testament to the idea that love can indeed bloom in the most unexpected places. This story, with all its twists and turns, has shaped me and made me who I am today. Every story has its own unique set of circumstances, its own blend of joy and sorrow, love and loss. Mine just happens to be a little more unconventional than most. And while some may find this hard to believe, I assure you, every word of it is true. This is my story, this is my truth, and it serves as a constant reminder that life is full of surprises, and even in the darkest corners, there is always a glimmer of hope.
Imagine discovering that your spouse, the mother of your 2 children, cheated on you during your marriage and became pregnant with another man's child. You learn this when you catch her in the act, and after questioning her, she admits that there's a strong chance the child she's carrying isn't yours. The pain, the betrayal, the shock. It's enough to end a marriage right there and then, and that's exactly what happens. Fast forward to the birth of the baby, and a DNA test confirms your worst fear. The child is not yours. Consequently, the divorce proceedings only factor in custody and support for your 2 children. You pay some child support because you earn more than your ex, but you maintain equal custody and remain an involved dad. Now picture this. October of last year, your ex's affair partner, the father of her youngest child, disappears without a trace. He quits his job and becomes untraceable, leaving your ex in a financial rut. You step up, buying more for your shared kids to ensure they don't suffer due to their mother's failed relationship. Then, last month, your ex tells you she's struggling to keep up with the expenses for her youngest. She asks if you could possibly buy some stuff that included her too, but you draw the line. The child she made while cheating on you is not your responsibility. She pleads, saying your refusal will create disparities in the lives of the children. You stand firm, reminding her that this predicament was not of your making. Your ex doesn't stop there. She tells your kids about her request, even encouraging them to ask you for help on behalf of their half-sibling. Confused, your kids approach you, and you explain that while their half-sibling is part of their family, she is not part of yours. You tell them the truth about their mother's infidelity and how she got pregnant with their half-sibling during your marriage. You assure them that you remain their dad and nothing has changed. But you were never their half-sibling's dad, and don't want to buy her stuff like you do for them. Your kids understand, but when they return to their mothers, she calls you, furious that you told the kids more than she wanted them to know. You stand your ground, insisting that the kids needed to know the truth. She calls you cruel. This is the story of a man struggling to navigate the aftermath of his ex-spouse's betrayal, trying to maintain his duty as a father while refusing to shoulder a burden that isn't his. He faces backlash from his ex and is put in the uncomfortable position of explaining his actions to his children. Despite the complications, he remains steadfast, guided by his conviction that he should not be financially responsible for a child that is not his own.
Take a moment to imagine the feeling of an electric connection with someone. A connection so intense that it seems to permeate your very existence. This was the reality for a young woman years ago who found herself drawn to a man like a moth to a flame. For a while, it seemed he was attracted to her too, but then, without warning or explanation, he began to pull away. Over the course of 3 years, this mysterious withdrawal sent her spiraling into a whirlwind of confusion and heartache. The enigma of his sudden change of heart was a puzzle she couldn't solve, and the frustration of not knowing why pushed her into a strange, obsessive state of mind. Unlike the stereotypical image of a crazed lover, however, she didn't resort to bombarding him with phone calls or messages. Instead, she embarked on a silent quest to be at places she knew he'd frequent, timing her visits meticulously. The plot thickened when she heard about a former girlfriend of his. Jealousy and paranoia flared up within her. Why was he possibly seeing his ex again? Why not her? What was wrong with her? The ex-girlfriend became another piece in this puzzling game, and things took a bizarre turn. She began driving past their houses, circling the block whenever she saw his car at the ex-girlfriend's place. She monitored his online activity, trying to deduce their relationship status from his Facebook logins. The obsession escalated to a point where she started donning a disguise and walking past the ex-girlfriend's house, even crawling in the bushes to listen to their conversations. She bore witness to their intimate moments, a voyeuristic experience that filled her with self-loathing. Things spiraled further out of control when she started lurking outside his house, culminating in a confrontation that ended not with anger or fear, but laughter. It was a wake-up call for her, bringing an end to her unusual antics. Despite being in treatment for suicidal tendencies and borderline personality disorder, she never confided in her therapists about her obsession. She was fully aware of her irrational behavior, yet felt compelled to continue. Looking back now, she sees her actions as those of a stranger. She questions why she became so fixated on him and not anyone else. She wonders if she could ever fall into such a trap again. In conclusion, this story serves as a stark reminder of the power of emotions and the lengths to which unrequited love can push us. It is a testament to the struggle of understanding one's actions and the journey towards self-forgiveness. Regardless of how bizarre or extreme our actions may seem, they are often driven by a desperate need for understanding and acceptance. In the end, we are all just trying to navigate the complex labyrinth of emotions and relationships, and sometimes we lose ourselves in the process.
Am I the asshole for refusing to add my boyfriend's child to my health insurance? It's a question that's been haunting me for a while. For 4 years I've been with my boyfriend, and for 2 of those we've shared a home. He came into our relationship divorced, with a son and an ex-wife who's been a consistent source of conflict. Mental health issues have made it difficult for her to maintain stable relationships, and she's caused us a fair share of problems. She's refused to let me be part of her 12-year-old son's life, insisting that I can't interact with him. I can't even attempt to bridge the gap, unsure if it might make him uncomfortable or cause repercussions from his mother. It's a complicated situation, to say the least. Anyway, the divorce decree states that if the mother carries health insurance, then she is owed the full amount of child support, but if the dad carries, then child support is reduced. When the agreement was done, she agreed to carry him. My boyfriend's ex-wife had agreed to shoulder the health insurance for their child. Now the tides have turned, and we're caught in a whirlwind of dilemma, with the child's health insurance at its core. Here's the crux of the situation. My company offers a health insurance plan that allows me to include my partner. Seeing the quality and affordability of the plan, it made sense to add my boyfriend. But the idea of adding his son to my insurance stirred up a maelstrom of issues. Firstly, it's a significant financial burden. It would slice a hefty $425 off my paycheck every pay period. Secondly, the boy's mother staunchly refuses to let us reduce the child support payments, despite the potential change in insurance responsibility. This means we would need to dive into a legal battle to get a new decree, an ordeal we'd rather sidestep. My boyfriend, my rock amidst this storm, stands by my decision. He believes that if his ex-wife wants us to shoulder the health insurance, she needs to take the initiative to go to court and seek a new decree that would lessen the child support. She refuses to do so. She says she promises she will return a portion of the money she gets in child support to us. I don't trust her. The promise of returning a portion of the child support sounds hollow and unconvincing. Can we really trust her? I wouldn't mind adding him even though he is rude as hell to me, but the judge made it clear of how it will work, and we are not going to interfere with the court order. It's a curious situation, isn't it? Here I am, willing to shoulder an extra financial burden for a kid who's been nothing but cold to me. It's not his fault, of course. He's a product of his environment, an environment his mother has deliberately crafted to exclude me. The conflict here isn't really about money. It's about respect, about boundaries, about a woman who insists I'm the villain for not supporting her son. But how can I support someone when I'm systematically shut out of his life? It's not just about the health insurance. It's about the principle of the matter. I want to make this clear. I'm not refusing to help out of spite. I'm refusing because it's not my place. The court order has laid out the terms clearly. It's her responsibility to provide for her son's health care. If she wants to change that, she needs to go through the legal channels. She says I'm the asshole, but if I'm to be honest, it feels like she's trying to have her cake and eat it too. She wants me to financially support her son while also insisting I have nothing to do with him. She claims I am an asshole to her for not supporting her son. No offense, but she's made it clear in the past that I am not to have anything to do with him regarding his care, so why should I even consider it? No offense, but she's made it clear in the past that I am not to have anything to do with him regarding his care, so why should I even consider it? In this web of complexities, I stand firm with my decision. I am not an asshole for refusing to add my boyfriend's child to my health insurance. I am simply a woman who has been pushed away and forbidden to establish a relationship with this child. The mother has made it abundantly clear that I am not to be involved in her son's life, let alone his care. Why then would it be my responsibility to shoulder the financial burden of his health insurance? It's a paradox, isn't it? On one hand, I'm told not to interfere, and on the other, I'm expected to pay. This has been my story. Some might argue I'm an asshole for refusing to add my boyfriend's child to my health insurance, while others might see my point of view. What do you think? Is it wrong to refuse to shoulder a responsibility that isn't rightfully mine?
Can a simple act of sharing a bed with a friend be the spark that ignites a powder keg of marital discord? This is the question that one 26-year-old woman finds herself grappling with as she navigates the labyrinthine corridors of love, marriage, and the human need for intimacy. Her story begins with a familiar backdrop. She and her husband, a year her senior, have been together for a total of 11 years and married for 7. Their life together has been one of mutual affection and companionship, yet, recently, a seemingly trivial issue has cast a long shadow over their marital bliss. The husband finds fault with his wife's bedtime routine. Too many blankets, too many pillows, too much snuggling. His dissatisfaction eventually leads him to abandon their shared bed and retreat to the guest room, triggering a 3-month-long dry spell that leaves the wife feeling unwanted and bereft of her husband's company. In an attempt to remedy the situation, the wife curtails her bedtime habits and promises to align her sleeping schedule with her husband's. But her efforts are in vain, as her husband remains entrenched in his decision to sleep separately. This leaves her grappling with feelings of rejection and loneliness, exacerbated by her husband's increasingly distant behavior. Enter her longtime friend, a recent divorcee, who moves in with the couple due to financial constraints. The friend, too, is dealing with feelings of loneliness and rejection, mirroring the wife's emotional state. In a bid to comfort each other, they begin sharing a bed, finding solace in their mutual companionship. Their interactions are innocent, limited to cuddling and the occasional peck on the forehead or cheek, a manifestation of the wife's love language, touch. Yet, this innocent arrangement soon becomes the eye of a storm. The husband, upon discovering his wife's new sleeping arrangement, reacts with anger and resentment. He misrepresents the situation to their families, painting his wife as the villain who ousted him from their bedroom to sleep with another woman. The wife becomes the recipient of unwarranted hate and hostility, leaving her isolated and more lost than ever. The question that arises is she in the wrong for seeking comfort in her friend's company? Is it wrong to crave physical touch and emotional intimacy when it's denied by one's spouse? Or is the husband at fault for his refusal to communicate and his unfair portrayal of his wife's actions? This story serves as a reminder that in any relationship, communication is key. It highlights the importance of understanding and respecting each other's needs and feelings. It also underscores the fact that love languages are real and significant, and when they're not fulfilled, it can lead to feelings of rejection and loneliness. So as we navigate the complex terrain of human relationships, let's remember to approach each other with empathy, understanding, and an open heart. Because at the end of the day, we all crave to be seen, heard, and loved in the language that speaks to us the most. My dad is a serial cheater. He cheated on my mom a lot during their marriage, and it came to light after she was diagnosed with brain cancer 5 years ago. Mom found out when she was already terminal, and my dad's answer to this was to run away to his, at the time, affair partner's house, leaving me, 16F who was only 11, and my sister, 15F who was only 10, to fend for ourselves and take care of Mom. He then tried to get his way back in for my mom's last few weeks, and she somewhat gave in for our sakes, because she was worried we'd hate him if she didn't. But then when the end came, he was with his affair partner. When Mom was gone, we refused to live with Dad and his affair partner. We told Dad we were not going to let him act like nothing bad happened, and there was no way we wanted his affair partner to be our new mom. We ran away from home to get our way, and CPS got involved, and decided we should live with our maternal grandparents. But our dad was given visitation rights by the courts, so we have to see him one Saturday and one Sunday a month, but not overnight. Dad and his last affair partner were on and off for a few years. We found out one of her kids was actually his, and that kid is 6 now. She has an 8-year-old as well from the guy she was married to at the time she had her 6-year-old. So there's messy stuff on her side too. We don't see or interact with them ever. Dad and his affair partner are now engaged, and they wanted an engagement party with family and friends, and Dad insisted we had to be part of that. It happened on Saturday. Dad made us use the engagement dinner as our visitation with him, but we tried to fight against it. So we went, but we weren't happy. And during the dinner, Dad and his affair partner were talking about how excited they were to bring the family together. His affair partner was saying she was so excited to officially be our parent and to have us come closer because of it. Their immediate families know the score, but not the extended family. Their friends mostly knew, I think. They were saying how it was the most wonderful time and stuff, and then my sister and I started saying it wasn't for us, and then sarcastically said how we couldn't wait to be a family with Dad's affair partner he was seeing all throughout our mom's cancer and who he chose to be with when his wife was dying, leaving his daughters alone with their dying mom because he didn't even call our grandparents to tell them it was her final few hours. We also brought up how he had fathered the 6-year-old during his marriage to Mom. This led to a lot of questions, surprise and anger, the latter of which was directed at us. My dad and his affair partner were furious we made the engagement dinner uncomfortable and asked us why we'd do that. My sister said we weren't going to pretend we were happy for them or us. I said they forced us to be there and we were clear we didn't want to be. They said we behaved like spiteful children.
Have you ever been in a situation where you had to stand up against your own family for your rights? Well, today's narrative revolves around just such a dilemma. It's a story that begins with a wedding and ends with a question. Am I the asshole for stopping my cousin's wedding proposal? Imagine this. You're a 27-year-old woman, just married to the love of your life, Jacob, a 30-year-old man. The wedding was beautiful, a day that will be etched in your memory forever. But let's rewind a bit to a week before the wedding and introduce another character to the story. Your cousin Patrick, a 34-year-old man known for his immaturity, selfishness, and rudeness. Now, Patrick has a history of stealing the limelight at family events. He's the one who always manages to make birthday parties, holidays, and other occasions all about him. The adults in the family, for reasons known only to them, have always shown him favoritism, spoiling and enabling him in the process. So, a week before your wedding, you receive a call from Patrick. He doesn't ask, he declares, that he's going to propose to his longtime girlfriend during your wedding reception. This doesn't sit well with you, and you tell him not to go through with it. Patrick, in his typical fashion, reacts poorly and even calls you a selfish bee before hanging up on you. The drama doesn't end there, though. You receive multiple angry phone calls from your parents, accusing you of being selfish and unreasonable. You stand your ground, explaining that it's your wedding day, and you have every right to decide what happens at it. This doesn't go down well with the family, and some even decide not to attend the wedding. On the day of the wedding, Patrick shows up, acting all cordial. You see through his act, and as he tries to make his way to the stage to make his speech, you implement your plan. The band starts playing, drowning out his words. He tries 3 more times, each time being thwarted by loud music and a dance floor full of people. Eventually, Patrick storms out of the wedding venue, leaving you to enjoy the rest of the night with your friends and family. So let's reflect on our story. You stood your ground, refusing to let Patrick steal your spotlight on your special day. You defended your rights even though it meant going against your family. You ignored the angry messages the next day, choosing instead to enjoy your honeymoon with your husband. So, was she the asshole for stopping her cousin's wedding proposal? Or was she simply a woman standing up for herself, refusing to let someone else steal her moment? The answer, as with many things in life, depends on your perspective.